Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to the completed tour of our settlement in the glowing sea here. So coming up, we've got a tour with the weather switch back on, full radstorm weather, and following that there'll be a little nighttime tour as well, so you can see the lighting I've got in place. But for the moment I'm just going to go around in the daytime so you can actually see what I've done, and I can talk you through it. I'll do the latter part without chatting over it as well if you don't want to listen to me ramble too much. So a quick look around the walls before we head on in. The theory for this was that it was going to be a settlement, well, initially just a house for one ghoul who decided he didn't want to live in the Commonwealth anymore and was going to live a hermit-type life out here. But as these things so often do, the idea snowballed on me, and it's now sort of similar to the Slog or something like that, but with a bit more of an extreme mentality. They've basically turned their back on anybody who's not a ghoul and come out and live in the extreme weather of the glowing sea. So just on the left here, I've used a car chassis to make a little trailer type thing. The idea being they'll hitch it up to the Brahmin there and use it to drag back their settlement supplies, any resources they get to build with, that sort of thing. Because whilst we're bringing back bits and pieces and dribs and drabs as players, it doesn't really explain how settlers might do such a thing. So that was why I built that thing. That was my headcanon for that. So, yeah, the idea has kind of grown into a full, larger settlement for a whole group of ghouls. And, yeah, they're going to turn their back on everybody, keep everybody out, and the weather from the glowing sea should do that. The walls we've got here, not 100% happy with. They're a bit basic and uninteresting for me, but with all the various buildings in front of them, it improves the look overall quite a lot, so they do the job quite nicely. The theory is that it's intended to keep out Deathclaws and feral ghouls from getting in and smashing the place up, even if they wouldn't actually attack normal ghouls. That sort of thing. The turrets around and the fact they'd all be armed would allow them to deal with anything like rad scorpions or bloatflies or anything that can circumvent the walls as well. The little truck there they're working on repairing and will hopefully render the Brahmin and trailer obsolete, or possibly then hitch the trailer to it, allow them to drag stuff back more easily, and go off possibly over to the Crater of Atom or whatever to get supplies if they need to, or possibly go out on hunting trips. So we'll have a quick look over the place and move on into the house. So I'll throw up a card somewhere around about now so you can link to the full playlist if you want to see how I've done anything in particular. There's a whole build series on this. I'm sure many of you know if you've watched through it, but for those of you who haven't, you can just hit that and you can see how I've done what I've done, rather. So a lot of the decoration in here comes from Aslam's Workshop Decoration Pack, and some of it's just freestanding items that have been made static using Make Static, funnily enough, by Tim Timon. There's a full list of mods down in the description as well, just hit a link down there. So this is more of a bunkhouse type thing for a group of settlers, ghouls, whatever. Which, let's say, I was going to put in, but as it's a Workbench Anywhere settlement, whilst USO does allow us to either summon in them as groups of 3 or build them as individuals, you have to then send them to the settlement, tell them to move through the build menu, or they just mill around wherever they summon in, which unfortunately, as it's Workbench Anywhere, I can't do. So I can't assign them to jobs, and I can't change any of their gear either, which is kind of loses the effect I was going for, so I decided to sort of leave them off for now. I did want to have them wearing road leathers and disciples' clothes and that sort of thing, just to kind of create the atmosphere of a more extreme environment. But as I can't, I thought I'd leave them off. So, we have a fairly distinct bunkhouse here, a few bits and pieces of possessions and that sort of thing, places to store things. We've got foot lockers and bags underneath the beds and a few lockers kicking around. Beer on the headboard there. I did want to put one up on the top of the picture or something, but unfortunately it just won't stay there long enough to make it static, so what can you do? Not overly happy with the brightness of the colours using the retextured beds, but don't want them all the same either, so a little wall of trophies there. And a little eating area. Little workbench area. A lot of the techniques that I've used in building this place I've picked up through Sardeliac in his channel, so there's a little Mr. Handy Fuel there as a nod to him. The empty shelf there, the theory was going to be that the guards out on the walls would have the guns that would normally be stored there, or that space is full, but as I say, sadly we haven't got the guards, so what can you do? A couple of buckets for doing the washing up in. So we chill out and eat and look across the area. Shotgun just in case you need it. And a load of beers by the door for when you come in after a hard day's work. I quite like this little seating area out here. Kind of breaks up the front edge of the building a little bit and gives a nice little chill out area. The view is severely curtailed when you've got the weather switched on, but it's still quite cool. Ghouls won't have to worry about the rads, I suppose, so that's the main thing. Incidentally, guys, I'm somewhat indecisive about what to do next, so if you've got any suggestions, anything in particular you think would be a cool build, do drop me a comment, let me know, because you usually come up with good ideas, so give me some food for thought, I'd be very much appreciative. That's the back of our little tented garage there. Really want to do something different with that one, which is why I use the tents rather than building a traditional structure, and I really like how it's turned out, it looks good. I hope they're well fixed down though with the weather that you get around here. So I've put a few walkways in, a few staircases in, just to make sort of traversing the landscape a little more easy. There's some fairly steep edges to these slopes here. Little bathroom. Completely honest, I'm not entirely sure how the settler pathing will work with those, but theoretically it should be good. But then, it doesn't always work out that way. Little bathroom area, little basic, but I like it. Sure the ghouls will be overly worried about staying terribly clean. We'll get on to our farm. So, tiered farms as the ground is very, very steep here, and particularly with the Brahmin down the other end, they're going to need to produce plenty of razor grain for them to stay fed. Figure they can go out and hunt for meat if they need to. There's plenty of things to hunt in the glowing sea. Little shed come, not exactly a greenhouse, but you know. Growing area, storage area that's out of the weather anyway. Quick look around the place from the top here. Really happy with the way that staircase in particular turned out, and both of them, to be fair. They make a nice tucked in way up there and look sort of organically part of the wall, which is cool. Putting this truck and trailer together was just a case of rug glitching the main cab into place and then rug glitching the trailer in, which was a bit of a pain to do just because the object's so huge, but with a little bit of fiddling around got it all linked up nicely and it looks really good. I'm quite happy with that. Nice view from up here of everything. See the fog condensers over there that we're using as misters for the plants. We'll see where the water's coming from in just a moment. And they put out a bit too much kind of bluish, almost purple light, which is unfortunate, but still allows the job to be done. So just creates a little bit too much illumination, as cool as it does look. We'll make our way up to the lookout tower. So the idea with the staircase here was just to follow the sort of curve and rise of the land there, so make it organically part of the natural way up to the tower. Load of junk stored around the staircase at the bottom here. As I say, the walls are more to keep sort of deathclaws and ferals and that sort of thing at a distance, and this lookout position will allow a sniper somewhere to take pot shots and keep an eye out for any such things wandering too close. A nice commanding view from up here. A few bits and pieces of ammo and weapons and stuff should they need them. Yes, it's right on the top of the hill there, right on the highest point of it as well. Get that door closed. The fence isn't really intended to stop you moving out of the area, it's just sort of guides the eye more than anything, but it does kind of separate it off and make it seem like a separate set piece, that sort of thing. I've added a little balcony walkway along the front here, just so that settlers can get round this building. We'll take a look inside. Got land-based water purifiers, which I think are listed as water condensers. A few barrels with stored water in and tools and stuff to keep it running. The condensers are added by you, so basically the only thing they change is that you can place them on land rather than on water. Which wasn't too much of a problem before, because you could just group select them out of the water and move them wherever you wanted, but now you don't have to do that either, which is quite cool. And I think we've got some retextures on them as well, which is also very cool. Quick look around. This little guard station looks down the freeway here, as that freeway gives a nice clear run up to the walls for anything that might want to attack the place. So if I get a guard station at the top, we'll give them somewhere to open fire from and keep an eye out for any threats coming from that direction. So the top of this little pump house is kind of flat because I didn't want it to keep going up. So I felt I'd make some use of the flat space on the top here and give them a little seating area. We've got a nice view from up here. It does slightly obstruct the view from the tower towards the back, but then there's that guard post back there as well, so that kind of cancels out the problem. Quick look at the walls around the back. And I've just added this staircase in using the standard technique. I've actually put each stair in one at a time, which took a while, but it was kind of necessary for the strange angle of the ground. But it makes it a lot easier to get up and down this way. And I'm not 100% sure on settler pathing on it, but it does make it a possibility at least, and make it a lot easier to run up there. It seemed like a bit of dead space, and there's that nice little gap in the rocks at the top there that just begged for a pathway around there, really. To the front, have a quick look at our Brahmin pen again. And this is our generator shack. It's really kind of wedged in there, but does the job, protected from the worst of the weather. There's a little conduit around the back of the thing that the wires are all connected to, so they'd be buried in the ground rather than have them sort of trailing through the air everywhere. There's a few points to cross the air, but I don't like overdoing it on that. And that basically is our little build. So I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, I'm sure you know what to do. If you want to keep up to date with everything going on the channel, you can find social media links down in the description. And I will speak to you all very, very soon. Coming up, we've got the tour with the full weather on and the nighttime tour as well. Do enjoy.